Good evening. It's Tuesday, October 2nd with Bobby. You've gotten through a week of video logs. Last week we went over a little bit of introduction from all of ourselves and what our favorite technologies are. And this week what we're looking at is how has technology influenced our identities? And Chris has gone into how YouTube has played a major role in how he conveys what he does in a video setting. And mine is a very different from that as to how technology has shaped me. Mine goes back way to when I was about 10 years old. My dad had gotten a computer, or a second computer that I talked about in the last video. And one of the things that he put on that computer was a digital encyclopedia. And I just ate that up. I was really into history to start with, and I was really into the history behind science. And it was kind of an interesting mesh of history and science going forward. And I was always interested in how the things came to be. And this interest started to spill over actually into just being interested in the world around me and in science. And because of this, I pursued science and science-like adventures in my studies as a middle schooler and eventually a high schooler. During those periods, I wouldn't say that technology had a great influence beyond the teachers that I had and them conveying knowledge to me. But when I got to college, it changed dramatically as I became much more aware of the sort of scientific inquiry that is done at the professional level with PhDs and university research. And it became very apparent how much technology has influenced university research. The university research, we've already talked about how wireless technology has influenced and allowed for workers to have access to the workstations of various equipment in the lab and make that easier. But also, in a more personable way, in a way that has allowed me to have more access to cutting edge research, was the digitization of journals and the journal articles in them. 20 years ago, most journals were in hard copy, and they would be mailed to those who subscribed to the journals, as well as libraries whom subscribed to the journals. And maybe they would get volumes if the journals did volumes by year. In doing the digital revolution and the incorporation of digital copies of most journals, libraries have taken on a very different role and is more of a facilitator that one doesn't really go to on a daily basis to go find journal articles. Part of the daily life or weekly life of a researcher, especially in chemistry, was if you wanted to run a reaction, you would have to go down to the library, search through the journals, try and find what you're looking for within the various indexes and what you've already done from prior checks. And you'd also do this to keep up with the current research to help make sure that your index of what reactions have been done is current. And this has really revolutionized how students like me, when I was doing research, have gone about learning about various new technologies and various techniques in our fields. Now, that's not to say that journals in hard print or magazines put out by various trade groups have gone away. I'm part of the American Chemical Society, and we still have our print version of Chemical and Engineering News. I have one right here. So I still get these weekly, and I read through them. But if I didn't have that, I have access to all of those articles online through the ACS website. And that is very powerful because it's not only allowed me to read ACS articles shown in CNN wherever I want, but through the University of Illinois, we have many subscriptions to various journals and periodicals in science. And so I can pursue not only chemistry-related fields, but fields that are influenced by chemistry or are looking at the consequences of chemistry, such as toxicology. And recently, a toxicology paper has come out of King's College in London about GMOs and their effect on rats in a more long-term study than has been done in previous studies. And it's been very telling, and the results are not great. That said, my ability to actually understand toxicology papers is very limited, but it allows me to read these articles and try and deduce what they are doing. And if there are issues that I can't understand, I do have access to people who may know of people who would have a better understanding and handle of what is going on in these papers. The access to these various journals, journal articles, and all this wealth of information has allowed me to continue to pursue an understanding and a want and thirst for knowledge. Even though I am not active as a researcher anymore, I am still greatly interested in what is going on in the field of chemistry, a field that I really cherish because of how much influence it has over our daily lives. And being able to have access to this through the internet, even if I'm not able to read the articles in full, I can read the abstracts and ask friends who are in the field about various papers, and they're very willing to tell me what is going on. And that is very powerful as far as being able to keep up to date with the current in a given field. So that's how technology has influenced my identity. It has made me a voracious information hunter in a way. And I will see you guys next week. Have a good night.